Hello, my friends, and welcome to a brand new episode of Discourse in Magic. My name is Jonah Babbins, and we are here with the other half of the Toronto Magic Company and the other half of, well, a lot of projects. Unconventional.fun and my housemate and Nightmare of a Human. No, I'm kidding.
Backed by popular demand. It's me, Ben Train.
Ben Train. It's actually been a while since you've been on the podcast, so...
Because I've annoyed you, and you didn't want to speak to me.
I'm tired of being at Magic conventions and people saying, I love your guys' podcast.
I know, I get it all the time, and now I just take credit for it. Which has gotten me in trouble before because you have enemies.
Yeah, I don't
Nemesis.
have enemies. I don't have enemies. Okay, well, here we are not talking about the magic business. We are not talking about performing tricks, or we might. But really, what we are here talking about is the campers playing cards. This is a deck of cards that we are currently in the process of kickstarting. And if people see our information online, if they see the Kickstarter, if they see our post, they're all kind of like ads, it's like us really promoting the thing. But I thought that since this is for magicians, we could do the opposite and we could share like behind the scenes.
The opposite of promoting it? This is why you shouldn't get it. They suck.
Remember when we did an audio test and you said that's how you're going to talk and now you're yelling at me?
What are you talking about?
Okay, so I figured on this, instead of us like promoting it, maybe you've heard of it by now, maybe you haven't, but on this I just want to talk the behind the scenes because we are smack dab in the middle.
Let me just ask for me to know, when is this episode coming out? How soon do you think?
Does it come out this Thursday? So call it. It's basically
in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is like smack dab in the middle of the promo.
There'll be like 2 weeks left.
Something like that, right? So this is smack dab in the middle of the promo. So I figured we would talk some behind the scenes about launching a deck of cards, what we thought about, how it got there. So I'll start with a question for you, which is, why launch a deck of cards? This is certainly not going to be a humongous moneymaker. This is certainly not going to be, it's a personal...
Because if it sells, it'll accomplish the primary motive of the author, and that is to make the author money.
Stop making Erdnase jokes.
I butchered it because I haven't read that book in so long.
Why launch a deck of cards?
Well, there's a bunch of different reasons. I think like most people listening to this podcast, we love playing cards. We have since we were kids. I mean, people tease me that they can't picture me without a deck of cards in my hands. And I really do love cards. We both do. And so I've wanted to put out a deck of cards for a while as a way to contribute back to this thing I love, to put something out in the world that people could hold in their hands, that they could shuffle and use. I think, again, you're the same way. We've also... we're both working performers, and there's things that we do with a deck of cards that allow us to get more out of our magic, ways that we can modify a deck, whether it's putting breathers in or short cards, other stuff. And we thought if we could design a deck of cards from the scratch, we could put things in and incorporate things into it that would allow us to make the magic we're doing better. So not just aesthetically put out a nice deck, but put together something that makes our magic stronger. And so that's what this is an attempt to do is... Yeah.
And also, I will say, putting out a deck of cards there's so many instances, like we do public shows and we do like corporate gigs or whatever, and we want to give people a gift, like a way that we can say, hey, thanks so much for hiring us or for coming to the show, whatever. And right now, we basically have some swag. So some people that have like Toronto Magic Company mugs and coasters and stickers
t-shirts
and things
and
like
stuff,
that. Yeah. And...
but they want a deck of cards. Like, people come to our events and they want to do magic. They want to learn magic. They want to...
That's what I mean. We have a card magic course, and I can't tell you how funny it is that at our events, we've got these 2 posters about card magic course and a couple of like decks of cards to just look aesthetic there. And people come up and they're like, so are you selling these decks? And I'm like, no, those are bicycle decks. You can buy them for $3. Like, I'm teaching you how to do card tricks.
Those are beautiful decks, though. If those came out today, you could sell those for $20, $25.
They're great. We're both holding bicycle cards right now. So, I guess personally, it's really cool to be able to give them out to people at events and to magicians and things like that. And the last thing, which is something that I think I wrote about on the Kickstarter page, I don't know if it's still there, but just this idea that, you have lectured for a very long time, and it's always cool that people... Well, whatever, 10 years, right? Yeah. And it's always cool that people, do your tricks. And, I was in Melbourne a little while back.
By the way, if you do any of my tricks, I will point out there's better material.
Don't tell them that.
Out there.
I was in Melbourne. I was in Melbourne chatting to this magician, and he's like, what's a really cool magic project? Series of Unfortunate Effects. And I was like, I live with that guy, and he released it 10 years ago. They're like, what? And same thing.
It was just the 10-year anniversary of that project in April.
And same thing for me. I've put out 300 some odd podcast episodes, coach magicians, I lecture. So it's cool when my material and when episodes and things like that end up in people's worlds. But what's kind of weird about those things is they're all fleeting. Like, I do your move, and you're like, oh, cool, you know? And it's awesome they do our move, but like, it's even cooler. Like, I can't tell you how cool it is that people drink out of our mugs. Like, I know a lot of people don't want to buy our mugs, but like, it is cool that we make something that people can physically hold and have.
It exists in history. Like, you know, let's say we print 2,500 of these decks and people use them and they get destroyed. That happens. They're made out of cards. Maybe, you know, obviously some will stay in collections for who knows, hopefully forever. But regardless of what happens to the deck, history will now show that there was a period where the campers decks existed. People got to use them, you know, and hopefully, you know, what I'm excited about is that people will use these. You know, I have cards in my collection, and we both, I mean, between the two of us, we have over 1,000 decks, I would say, easy. And there are cards, like I have shelves, and I have my top shelf is the cards that I use, which are the cards that like I like to take out of the house when I want to play. And then I have cards that like I will never use because they just, I don't know, they don't bring me joy, you know, they don't spark that. And so I'm hoping the campers, I think they look amazing. Like, I legit want to hold them. Like, I would back these. That's why I made them. But also, I think that they are designed to be used. Like, I think people, if you're doing magic tricks with these, you get more out of them.
So let's talk, you know, I think a lot of people hope, or no, I'll take that back. A lot of people think about launching a deck of cards. There's a lot of steps and a lot of things in the process. I'd love to start about, like, the beginning of this. So how did us launching a deck of cards come to be?
I think, you know, I can't speak as an authority on this because this is the first deck I've ever made. But from what I understand from speaking with other people, this is like the easiest time ever to produce a deck of cards because there's a lot of things that have been streamlined because other people have taken those steps before us. So, I mean, the first thing is, you know, what is the motivation?
How did it come to be?
Is it
well, that's how we started with. Why?
Yeah, but I don't mean like why us, but I mean like why you are making a deck of cards, whoever the listener is. You know, is it an ego thing? Is it for a show? Is it because you have some cool ideas to incorporate things? You know, why are you making this deck of cards? And then once you sort of have an idea of who it's being made for, what the purpose is, you start coming up with the concept. You know, is it something that's themed like ours is camping themed? Is it
not to cut you off, but the question was, how did these cards come to be?
Oh, like these specific ones?
Yes. Not how do cards come into existence.
Anyway, and that's how babies are made. How do these cards? So I guess 8 years ago, I was on a lecture tour, I think in California, and I was marking and playing with decks of cards and putting in short cards and breather and see. I had downtime and I was just trying to see like what can I put into a deck of cards to really get the most out of it. And you know, I came home and I was playing with the deck. I still have that deck at home. And Jonah and I were talking about it and some of the things that we incorporated. And then we started talking about how we could make this deck come. I had like ideas for themes, but none of them camping related. Just sort of random ideas that would allow me to incorporate some of these ideas. Yeah. And then I think we were on an actual camping trip and just talking about making a deck of cards. And you were like, well, instead of this like really stupid idea, I think it was...
You were talking about let me go back a step. So the thing that you wanted to incorporate, which...
Yeah, I guess I will keep secrets.
Yeah, it's a magician. So we'll even talk about what the thing is in a minute. But the thing you wanted to incorporate was something on the back that resembled a splatter.
I had a deck of cards in California that happened to be black and white. And I had a Sharpie with me. And, you know, if I want to mark a red bicycle deck, I take a red Sharpie. And
even still, it's
a little bit off. And I had this black and white deck. And I took a Sharpie and just... for, you know, shits and giggles, I like started putting dots and drawing on it. And I was like, wow, this is perfect. Like it blends in. I couldn't see anything. And I was like, you know, if you had a deck of cards that was black and white, you don't need a knife to scrape off stuff to mark them. You don't need special inks and other stuff. You just need a Sharpie, which we all have. And so that was the idea. And so, so I had...
It was black and white and splatter.
You've never seen this. This is crazy. You don't know this exists. You're going to hear this for the very first time. Before I came up with the splatter idea, which was going to be a spray paint can.
The spray paint can, you also had a dog shaking off
shaking water, that was like stepping in a puddle, so it was like symmetrical. We used the puddle idea of the reflection of the water.
Well, that was the part that I came up with. I said like, I was up camping. I don't remember if we were together or not, but I was up at a cottage and I was looking across the water and I just saw the reflection. And like,
maybe we weren't together because I think you texted me that.
I think so too.
I think you texted me an image.
Because I was looking across the water and like it gave that like splatter thing. The stars gave the splatter, but then the thing that jumped out at me is that it was reflected, which is what you need
was
for a
naturally
back design.
symmetrical.
Exactly. So instead of like if it was a dog wagging, if it was a dog shaking off water, then you'd have to have two dogs, one upside down,
Right,
and
because
one
in the puddle, the reflection, but
Right.
the water worked way better.
Yeah.
So the thing that you don't know about is the actual original idea was for me to have a character blowing a woman that was inspired by my mom, and she was blowing dandelions.
Oh, no, I do know this.
But what you don't know is I paid an artist and commissioned her to make
the back design.
to make them, and they're great, and I have them.
They're great.
Yeah, they're great.
I would love
it's an
to see
amazing tattoo artist from Toronto, and I paid quite a bit of money to do this.
Oh, it's of you blowing the dandelion.
No, it's of my mother. It was my mother when she was young. It was sort of my mother and my sister, like a cross between them. I don't know why I had the idea for that, but then
it's great.
It was a cool idea, and the dandelion was a cool thing, but like it didn't invoke the same thing about
the thing
camping.
I don't love is the upside down person on the other half of the deck. Like, you know, to me, it's like that's what makes a good back design is you not looking at it and having to see something that's upside down and that's backwards. Okay, I want to talk about.
But anyway, that was how we came up with the idea of stuff, and then after that, it was pretty easy because what I was saying about easy, like. If you contact Bicycle, they'll send you all the information, print, and everything else. Like,
so then let me ask
it was the design that took 6 years.
That was okay. So that was 6 years ago. What took so long?
Part of it was, I think dragging our feet. It's a passion project. There's, there's other things that were more pressing, and also. With an idea like this, it sort of germinates, you think about it, and then it wasn't until if it was the dandelions, I don't know if it would have launched today. I don't know if we would have been that exciting. It wasn't, I think, until you sent me that message with the water, and I was like, oh my God, we love camping. We talk about how beautiful and magical, and like all these things started clicking, and once they started clicking, the project started moving much faster because you have momentum. It got exciting. So once we got the initial concepts and designs, we did, and then we ended up waiting a little while because we got busy and we wanted to launch in summer.
We had pretty good momentum last year, and then when we finally had everything together, it was like the end of August, and we were like, well, we kind of want to launch this deck of cards in what's close to the summer. Yeah. So it's like still pretty
No, that
warm.
happened this time.
It happened again this year.
We were like, we posted, we're going to launch in August, and then
September 1st we launched.
September 1st? No, we launched September 4th.
Okay.
Okay, but at least we launched.
So I have maybe something that I have some comments on in this, and then I'd love for you to add, which is the question of what makes a good deck of cards. Because in general, there's a couple things that make, like we do this all the time. We're at a magic shop, we buy a deck of cards that the box looks great, we open it up, and immediately we go, damn it.
I'm not going to say the name on here because I don't know if anybody, but the one we got in Chicago.
Brutal.
Brutal. That deck was so bad. And it's you opened it up, it was like a $20 or $25 US deck. I opened it up, we looked at it, I handed it to Jonah, he looked at it, we just dropped it in the trash.
It was
pretty bad.
And it happens all the time where the box looks good and you're like, oh, okay, I'll buy this deck, like it's pretty cool. And then you open it up and you're like, oh, completely unusable. So to me,
I hate when the box
looks better than the back
doesn't resemble the cards inside at all. Like, I'm okay if like 3/4 of the box are drastically different, but like give me some indication of what's inside. That drives me nuts.
For sure. So for me, the couple things that makes for a good deck of cards is, number one, it needs to be reflective. I don't know what the word is.
Symmetrical. But I think number one is actually they got to be good quality.
Yes, got to be good quality. I'm talking literally just assuming it's a bicycle. Yeah. Okay. Assuming it's a bicycle style deck.
Yeah, I was talking about quality of the cards.
Well, there are a lot of decks like, for example, the Nox. The Nox are a beautiful deck of cards, but he changed who he printed it with in an effort to, and more power to Alex Pandreas is awesome, in an effort to make them cheap, affordable, which is great because they're beautiful cards. But he changed who they're printing with. I forget from who to who.
And people have preferences. Like we were handling when we were looking at stocks, crushed stock and other stuff. And like I remember feeling these decks, and they feel like 38 cards, 40 cards, they feel missing. And I actually thought they were really nice. And then I handed them, to Jonah, and he's like, I cannot use this. Like it feels so like.
So the Nox is like, I think, one of the most brilliant and beautiful deck of cards there is. I love those so much, except they feel good and then they get tattered a little bit too soon. So they don't really last. So certainly quality is the
especially
first
an
thing.
issue when you have, color that bleeds all the way to the edge.
For sure. Second thing is that the back needs to be reflective. I don't want
symmetrical.
Symmetrical, so that you can invert a card 180 degrees and it still looks the same.
I'm okay with subtle one-way designs.
Subtle.
Like, I don't mind if there's like, if you rotate it now, there's a little bit more yellow versus a little more orange on one side.
I want to spread through the deck and it looks the same throughout the whole entire thing.
Fair.
Third thing for me is borders.
Very
if the deck
important.
does not have not only borders, but white borders, because otherwise when the card frays, then it still doesn't look good. So
and also if you reverse a card of the deck or something, you know, if it's got a white face, but blue borders, like,
it's useless.
Yeah.
It's useless because I have so many tricks where a card is secretly reversed, so I just can't have that.
And you flash as is right now.
No, I'm not flashing.
God help you if the deck doesn't cover it for you.
Borders is one, and then on the face, a couple things. Number one, the colors of black and red need to be pretty much black and red.
Yeah.
You can make it a different version of red or like a dark gray or something, but like green and it's just like so impossible.
And they have to be, you have to be able to tell them apart. Like, I don't like when there's like a really dark red and then like a pinkish black or something where you start looking, I'm like, what suit is this? Like, what the hell?
And if you perform for lay people enough, you're like, name any card, and they're like, the red 4 of spades, and you're like, what?
Like, I'll give you an example. There's a deck that I love. I actually bought a brick of them, the Grateful Deads.
They're great.
I think they're amazing. I think the box is cool. The back design is great. The faces are unusable. So to me, they're like, because like the king and the aces in those, and they're great. I think they're an amazing deck, but like you cannot see the difference.
You can hold 4 or 5 royal cards together, and you're like, I don't know what these are.
Indistinguishable. So you're like not gonna do a trick with them, but they are great to shuffle. And
so that's the next is they need to be distinguishable, and I think people take a little bit too much creative freedom on the royal cards sometimes. No,
I'm okay with
for me. It's for me.
And I'm okay with that as an art piece. And I'm okay with, there are decks of cards that I love that I walk around the house shuffling and I play with that are just for me, including like cardistry decks where there aren't even real faces. Like the lazy decks talking about Alex Pantrea.
So good.
I love those decks of cards, but like you're not leaving the house ready to perform, with those.
This is in terms of usability.
Yeah, for like real people.
Yep. So I think the royals need to kind of look like people know what kings, queens, and jacks look like, and like they got to be pretty close to that. And if not, then it has to be really obvious and easy to comprehend at a glance. Because for magic tricks, for card games, like you don't want to be like, what am I holding?
People already have trouble sometimes. They don't know what a club is, or that they get confused between two cards. Like, I don't want to add to that for sure.
I think those are all my
You said quality of the cards, symmetrical backs, borders, recognizable faces. I'll add some things. Personally, for me, this might sound a little silly. People in the Magic Cafe, we used to always make fun, like, what deck's better, blue deck or red deck? But I do think it matters. Like, if you, this might sound crazy, I don't know, but like, if I'm putting on a suit and I'm trying to match the tie to the suit, like, maybe I want to match the cards to the suit. Like, I do. Right. Like, and as certainly in my everyday fun life, like I mentioned earlier in this, that I have like a shelf of cards that I take out of the house. And there's like 40 or 50 different decks that I rotate through. And like, I have different pairs of sneakers and I have different jackets I wear. And like, I might be like, this one goes with my outfit, or this one fits the outdoor weather right now, and it makes me want to create in different ways. So for me, I want all the things you mentioned, quality, usability, whatever. I also want the deck to be something aesthetically that I am drawn to, that communicates.
Like if it's neon, then it's just hard to look at and hard to
like I have an example, the Fontaine guys, they put out
beautiful decks.
They collabed with Nickelodeon, and I have some of those decks. But not all of them. The decks I have are the ones that like resonate with me, like Rocco's Modern World or Real Monsters. I watch those. The other ones, Recess or something, I didn't watch Recess. So like, I didn't watch that, growing up. So like, I didn't want that particular deck. But like, I want the decks that resonate and connect with me.
So we talked about what we like in a deck of cards. Let's talk about what we did in this deck of cards to sort of do those things. So starting with the backline. Obviously, by the way, if you're listening to it, just go, I'm going to put the link in the description here, but go look at the Kickstarter so you can see what we're talking about. Like an audio conversation about an aesthetic thing is like hard, but what did we do in this? Starting with the backs. I guess we've talked about the backs.
Yeah, a few little things, like we made them so that have all the things you talked about. They're bordered, they're symmetrical. I think aesthetically they look really cool. Like, I could rock them when I go out of the house, I would carry them with me. I think
Yeah.
they look cool.
They're black and white, which goes with
They're
everything.
black and white with also, very importantly, a splash of yellow in the center,
Yep.
which is, if you're doing isolations in cardistry or spinning cards or doing packet cuts, like I like having, I've seen some decks, like this was something we talked about, that splash of color. Like I like the decks where like there's a little red dot or there's a little thing that your eye can follow during moves. So,
And then in terms of the faces, what we did is all of the jacks have paddles, like
Yeah.
they're canoeing. All of the queens have fishing rods, some with fish that they've caught and some without. And then all of the kings are roasting marshmallows. And what you don't know is that 2 minutes ago,
Oh, no.
Ben just told me that he took some marshmallows from our house and he went out to the backyard and he lit them under a lighter so that he could eat.
that's a lie. I said I went to my bedroom
He could
and
eat
I
a roasted
two
marshmallow, just a butane covered.
Someone was in our house. They're like,
sugar
what's that
bomb."
smell? And I was like, I was roasting marshmallows in the back. I held them with my fingers. They burnt my
Gross.
fingers.
So obviously we're a fan of marshmallows.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, me less so, but yeah, fan of marshmallows. I'm more of the paddling fishing guy. And then the Ace of Spades is a bonfire, which is one of the parts of the deck that I'm the most proud of. I know you kind of did the design of it, but like it is.
That was, I think, the first thing was the Ace of Spades. Like it was like the drawing of,
because we had a
the
couple
wood
of
was
attempts at that, and
yeah.
then we eventually ended up with something that looks like a bonfire in a night sky, and it is so obviously the
Yeah,
Ace of
the
Spades.
two that came were like almost instant were the Ace of Spades design and the Jokers. The Jokers I drew out in my little notebook.
And the Jokers
Mine's
are
the moose.
tents, bonfire, and the trees.
It's the
Basically,
camping scene during the day.
It's a close-up version, during the day of the camping scene. I have a couple other questions, but
We focused on the night aspect because in my experience camping, during the day, people are off swimming or collecting firewood or whatever. Like
When you think of camping,
most of the memories are made like sitting around the fire with your buddies,
Yeah.
drinking, eating.
Anything else you want to talk about with the campers specifically, or should we go on to some other questions? Like any other elements of it that we didn't talk? We didn't really explain the marking thing. Do you want to talk about it?
The marking, it's a system we sort of jokingly call the remarkable system. Basically, it's a deck of cards because it's, black and white with white stars. You can take a Sharpie marker and you can touch up some of the stars to erase them. And what that allows you to do is mark the cards so you know what they are. Now, very important, the cards actually do have a way that you can mark them full suit and value, but that's not what we are going to focus on. And it's not how I would recommend using this deck. Really, the way that you use it is you mark it so that you can, instantly be able to find the 4 aces in a spread and know when you've cut to a key card, or mark all of the suits of, all the spades so that you know when your spectator cuts into your bank, etc. So just a way that you can mark the cards using a Sharpie, which you probably already have if you're working, or you can not mark the cards and you can just keep it as a normal deck.
Yeah. We really liked the idea that
The camping was like a vehicle for that.
yes, but also one of the things that we liked about this is that, like I said at the beginning, we want to be able to sell and give cards to lay people. And I think selling a layperson a marked deck of cards who is just a fan of cards and Magic, kind of sucks. Like, we want them to have an awesome deck of cards, and if they want to mark it, they can. So we made it so that there is things
Yeah,
in
and if
it.
you get 2 of them, like you do your trick all night, your show all night with a marked deck that's marked in certain ways, and at the end of the night, you give them the deck and you've just swapped it in your pocket when you go for the box for a non-marked version, and they keep it forever.
Okay,
so you
couple
should
of
buy
things-
multiple decks.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to talk about. The first is, as of this moment in the Kickstarter campaign, where are we at? The answer is it's a $10,000 campaign, and we're at 6,443, so 64.43%.
And that was in the first weekend in 3 days, which is very cool, but
did it in
still
3 days.
a long way to go.
Still a long way to go. And what's really true about this is it will exist only if people want it to exist.
Sure.
That's one of the
all or
beauties.
nothing, basically.
Yeah. The thing about Kickstarter is it's where decks of cards are launched, seems to be, which is nice, but also it really is a good way to tell us that if people don't want it, all of our friends and family and peers and whatever, they don't want it on the internet, then people are going to want to buy it in person. They're not going to want to have it. They're not, if people do want it, if it really jumps out to people, then it's something that we'll print. So we're 64% the way there, but we certainly need some help to get us there. Let's talk about 3 other things. And then we'll tell people maybe last chance to go. We'll switch into sales mode and tell them why they want it.
This wasn't sales mode?
No, I told you. What is the PDF and video, and how do people get it?
The PDF is, we were originally going to do it as an add-on and charge people money. And then we were like, nah, you know what? Let's just give it out. And it's called The Magician's Guide to Camping and Card Tricks. And it's a PDF that we've put together that will teach you how to use the deck of cards, teach you some tricks with the deck of cards, teach you some ways to force cards if you don't already know how to do that, or you're looking for some other ones, built-in revelations and some other, maybe some camping games. It just will teach you how to use this deck of cards. It's designed for lay people / beginner magicians.
Do we teach the marking thing in there or no?
We explain, yes, the marking system, but we don't go into too much depth. We teach one trick in there two tricks in there. One that involves marking just a single card, which allows you to have a marked key card, and one where you mark all of one suit so that you have a trick using a bank.
Cool.
So that's in there.
And in terms of the tricks, we really tried to share tricks that magicians can use and don't know, but are easy enough that a layperson can do
right.
it.
Yeah,
that's what we tried to do with that. Yeah, so that, a lot of lay people that supported it, it's really nice if they can come out learning a trick or two. And the magicians, if they can leave knowing a trick or two that they can actually do, is really valuable. And then what's the Zoom video thing?
So that one is, I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure yet. And the reason for that is, the Zoom is going to depend on who is getting it.
Right.
Because what we're doing is we're tailoring this experience. It's going to be 2 hours live with me and Jonah, and we are going to talk about the deck of cards. We're going to explain tricks. We're going to perform. We're going to answer and do a Q&A.
Walk you through some of the medium or harder tricks that we do with the marking system.
Exactly. And also some great easy stuff that, with the PDF, we didn't want to cram it filled with everything. So it's just a way that we can share some stuff. And then afterwards, that'll be available as a recording so people can rewatch it. But yeah, what it's going to entail is how to use the deck of cards to do some amazing tricks. And also, probably we're going to teach some stuff, at least one thing that doesn't use the deck of cards but is camping related.
I know what you're talking about. How to roast your own marshmallows with a lighter in the backyard.
It's funny. It is actually how to roast a marshmallow in your bare hands.
Second last thing I want to talk about here is we have all of the normal funding options. We have all the normal funding options. Like you can buy one deck, you can buy two, you can buy four, you can buy a brick, you can buy an uncut sheet, you can get the PDF and the Zoom call and all that stuff.
Comes with it.
Edition. Yeah. But then we have a crazy one.
Oh yeah.
Which is not $20 or $50 or $80 or $120, but it is $1,000, and it comes with
any of our body parts.
No, it does not come with our body parts.
Our normal body parts.
Stop saying body parts. It is $1,000, and it comes with
two bricks of cards.
It comes with the PDF. It comes with the Zoom call, one uncut sheet, the recording of the Zoom session, and it comes with one all expenses covered minus the flight cottage trip with you and I. Do you want to talk about why on earth we did that?
So I'm also going to say, I didn't include this, but it's not just me and Jonah. So we have 4 of these spots available. So it could be, if you get one, it'll be you and up to 3 other magicians. I can't imagine any other person's going to do it.
Yes.
So it's going to be some magicians, and it's going to be me, Jonah, but also at least 1 or 2 other special magic guests. And the plan is to get an amazing cottage. This is not going to be roughing it. Jonah is too fancy for that.
That's true.
So we're going to get a cottage with beautiful washrooms and bedrooms, and we're going to have
beautiful washrooms. The nicest washrooms.
The nicest washrooms. Well, you're not going to have to poop in a hole.
No, for sure.
Okay, it's going to be a real washroom with showers. We're going to have delicious food. We're going to have amazing magic jams and learning and other stuff. And it's going to be an amazing trip. And again, there's a lot of details that we're not sure of yet, because we're going to have to see who's coming.
Gets it and who's in.
And it'll be for next summer.
For sure.
We will coordinate with all of the people who purchase it to make sure people are available.
And just as a funny pitch for this thing, I consult on people's business and magic a lot. Ben helps you with their magic. We both go to magic
events. I wouldn't say I help them with the magic, but
you make it worse. But they pay
you
are there.
For
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So we both have lots of tricks, and we lecture and perform. And I don't think there will be a way ever to get this much time with us to ask whatever you want and also have everything paid for. I mean, if you just went on a camping trip, it would cost this amount. And honestly, the reason we did this, we're going to lose money on anybody who buys the camping trip, but it's for people who are our mega supporters to really support this project and help it happen. So
I'll put it this way. If 4 people buy that right now, the project's funded.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
also,
for real.
It'll cost us more than $4,000 to do this camping trip.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is that what I want to do is I want to make sure that for the 4 people who do it, it's a crazy experience. So
totally.
I'm not going to throw out names, but like obviously we've worked with a lot of incredible people.
Yeah.
We've done trips. We recently went on a trip with Aussie Wind. We've worked with Danny and with DRTs and all these amazing guys. So like, I don't know who's going to come, but we're going to make sure that it's a trip that, the people will remember the rest of their lives.
Love it.
Which won't last long because we're going to kill them at the end of this trip.
That's true. Last thing is, what do people need to know about...
We have normal body parts.
No, stop talking about our body parts. What do people need to know about getting this deck of cards? Any last plugs, thoughts?
Yeah, it's only going to happen. Kickstarter, the way it works is, if you've never done it, is it's an all or nothing thing. So we're trying to raise $10,000. That's what it's basically costing to print the cards, get them shipped, cover all the expenses. If we raise $9,999.99, project doesn't happen, everybody gets refunded, except for us and all the money we sunk in time. But this project only happens if you are listening, you like it, you go out, you support it, buy some decks of cards, get the Zoom session, share it with your friends and family. Again, this is a deck of cards that's not just for magicians. If you have people in your life that have a cottage or go camping or like the outdoors, buy them a deck of cards. They throw it in their knapsack. They take it next time their kids go to summer camp. It's a deck of cards. It's summer themed. It's camping. It's fun. It's edible.
It's not edible.
High in fiber. It's made out of recyclable materials. That's true.
I don't think that it's edible.
You could eat it. You could eat almost anything.
Probably toxic.
No, I think you could eat cards.
I don't think you could eat. I mean, you could eat them.
You know what? I'm going to go on the record and say the cards are edible.
Okay.
I'm putting it on the record.
Well, you can.
My name's Jonah Babbins,
No,
and
that's not true. That's not true. This is what it's like. This is what it's like living with this guy. It's unbelievable. This is crazy. Well, friends, if you want to support the Campers deck and help it exist, certainly we are 64% the way there, but there's quite a bit more to go, and about 2 weeks by the time you are listening to this. So please go to the link in the description and get some decks. Maybe even get a camping adventure at a cottage with Ben and I.
There's 2 people currently who have messaged me and are talking to their wives about whether they're allowed to do the camping trip.
Cool.
So,
and there are only 4 spots for that. So if you want it, get it. We'd love for you to have it. We'd love to have some fun with all of you.
No weirdos.
Yeah, no weirdos. No weirdos allowed.
Just joking. It's a trip for weirdos.
That's it. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for listening. There'll be more awesome mayhem coming next Thursday, but we hope to see you on the funded and supporter side of the deck. And we
love you guys.
Don't smooch them. Don't smooch them. We hope to see these cards in your hand. That would be really awesome. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next Thursday. Ciao.